Hello? I'm in the house. Let me do my checks and I'll be with you in a moment. Hold on, please. We're going to have a good show today. I hope you had a very good day today. And let's see what's going on. I hear something. You had a very good day today. I hear something, but I don't see anything. And let's see what's going on. Let me fix this and I'll be with you momentarily. I hear something. You had a very good day today. I hear going on. Okay, we got that going. And let me just check over here and we'll be good to go. We're always good. Okay. So we should be good to go. I don't have, hold on a second, please. My earpiece fell. Okay. Pardon me about that. My earpiece fell and my cats was attacking my earpiece, which is not a good thing. They would have lost it and I never would have been able to find it. But now we should be in the house. Okay, the cats are under control. I'm under control. Everything is in control. We are here. I would like to welcome everyone to our podcast today. This is the Knowledge from Beyond, and we have a very big subject today. And I'm glad you took time out of your busy day, out of your Sunday, to find out what's going on and to give your opinion. I'm on the chat. I'm everywhere. So today we're talking the Sumerian Tablets. Okay, and this is a very big subject. So let's go back. As we always like to go back to the beginning. How far back as we're going to go? We're going back to hold on a second, please. Hold on. My cats just tried to destroy. Hold on, please. Okay, my background got put on. Okay, that is their second interruption today. Okay, we're doing very good today, but we're still in the house. Okay, so let's get back where I was talking about. We're talking about the Sumerians. We're talking about the Sumerian tablets, and I'm your full spectrum Gnostic Lynn David Livesey, and we're going back to the Sumerians. Now, who was the Sumerians? They was just, see, back at this time, remember, man was just hunter-gatherers. We was doing nothing. We was hunting and gathering. We was doing nothing else. We had no sophistication. We had nothing. And then all of a sudden, these people in Iraq just came from nowhere, from hunter-gatherers, living in temporary shelters like American Indians. And then all of a sudden they started building ziggurats and all kind of stuff and all kind of sophisticated. They discovered how to plow, how to do plowing. They discovered mathematics. They discovered writing. They discovered everything. Maybe they were some smart SOBs. That would be good enough, but they don't say that they did it. And what happened with the Sumerian tablets? These tablets was discovered in Nineveh back in the 1800s. They basically sat there, scientists was looking at them, deciphering them. They was just, they didn't think much about them. What one lot of things, because when you come to science, they don't take a lot of things seriously. They view everybody as being primitive. They show everything as just being fairy tales, this and that. Those are just legends or whatever. So they was just writing all this stuff down. It was not until Sitchin came along that changed everything in the 1960s. And Sitchin started looking at some of this stuff that they was writing about in their journals, and Sitchin started putting things together because these tales, these legends, paralleled to a lot of things that was talking about in the Bible. And not only paralleled what was going in the Bible, it also paralleled to a lot of things that was in Hindu texts and other texts from around the world that we knew about. And again, with those, we didn't take seriously either. And Sitchin started putting these things together. And he started to write and publish about this. And this was very fascinating. And he wrote several books, and people got all excited in the 60s and 70s and everything. And then science said, oh, that's a bunch of craziness. This and that has nothing to do with anything. And blah, 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 blah. Sitchin's just crazy. He's just doing it for the money. And then everything died back down for basically 20 years or so. And then around the turn of the century, it started to come back. We're starting to give it a second look. And this time we don't have the hype. Okay. You can't say nobody's making money off of it, this and that. They're starting to take this stuff seriously because we also have found a lot of other strange writings from all over the world. And this is what we're going to talk about today, the Sumerians. The Sumerians tell a tale that if this tale is true in any way, it blows everything we know out of the water about everything all over the world because they talk about things that should not be. They talk about things that we should not know about. And they talk about stuff that even today, a lot of things we are just learning about. Some things they talk about and draw about, we still don't know about. And a lot of things that is in these Sumerian tablets, and this is why all of this have went underground. And one reason why this came back up today, because 2 years ago, Hobby Lobby was trying to smuggle Sumerian tablets outside of Iraq, and they got busted. And these are tablets that no one knew about. They was from a city that no one knew about. And they was trying to smuggle these tablets into America under the thing of, being, art, were art tiles or whatever. They was mislabeled this and that. They got busted. They was fined giant amounts of money. We still don't know what was this about. But this gets into some crazy stuff that was going on through the Iraq War that we're going to talk about later. But first, we like to go back to the beginning. So let's go and talk about those Sumerian, what was going on with those Sumerian tablets, as I said. They was written going back to at least 6,000 years ago, to the beginning of recorded history. Now, we've been around on this planet for a very long time, but recorded history basically started with the Sumerians. They're the first people that supposedly learned how to write. And they just didn't write about A, B, C, E, F, G, talk about the basic stuff. They was talking some super fantastic stuff and some things that only talked about in the Bible. This is why I have this picture over here. The Sumerians have the first pictorial view of an angel anywhere in the world. This is what their angel looked like. Their angel did not look like what we consider an angel today. We consider an angel today to look like first century Roman soldiers. Their angels had 4 wings, which are mentioned in the Bible. Ours only have 2. Theirs had an eagle or reptilian face. Theirs are always carrying these water buckets, and they're always carrying these acorns around. Okay, now, this stuff is talked about in all kind of books all over the world. As I said, in the Bible, all of our angels have 2 wings. The Bible says angels have four wings. They have four wings. And let's take a look at this picture. This picture is the first pictorial picture in the world of the Garden of Eden. This is the tree of life, in case you don't know that. And these are the angels which are protecting the tree of life. I think we read about that in the book of Genesis. But the Sumerian tablets predates the book of Genesis by thousands of years. How did they know about that tree of life? And the book of Genesis says that there was a tree in the garden, that, man said we could eat, God said we can eat from every tree except one. And that was the tree of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And once they sinned, angels was put around the tree of life so they could not get to it. This is what this is depicting. These are the angels protecting the tree of life, and they put some kind of shield or something over it. We don't know what this shield or whatever this thing is, but as you can see, this tree of life is protected. Now, today, we view the tree of life as being some kind of, it's just an apple. But that is not what the Bible says. The Bible says that the tree of life bears each fruit, a different fruit in each season. We don't have a tree that gives different fruits in each season. Okay. And you can see that these angels or whatever, just like in the garden, they always carry what we call today an acorn. That's what people say that these beings are holding, are acorns. And this signifies our pituitary gland, which is not correct. The acorns that these angels are carrying is the fruit of life, whatever that fruit is that we do not have today. And they talk about today, there's lots of videos that talk about these being carrying purses. And they're always carrying purses, and we don't know what's in those purses. Those are not purses. That is the water of life. Now, Lynn, where are you getting this from? Because if you look behind me, if I move out of the way, these things here that looks like a walking fish. Let me try to scoot over more so you can see this walking fish here. Those are called omnis. This is where the people of Iraq, the Sumerians, say they got some of how they learned how to write. They say these half men, half fish would come out of the water. And those half men, half fish taught them how to write, taught them how to build, taught them how to do everything. That's a crazy story. And these half men, half fish always would not eat. They had to carry a bucket that was full of some kind of liquid that they would spread on themselves. And at the end of the day, they had to return back to the sea. What in the hell is that about? Now, some of this was picked up, this is 6,000 years ago. This same myth crossed throughout history, all the way to Roman times, where the Romans worshiped the god Dorgon, which was half man, half fish. And that was one of the big gods in Rome, the god Dorgon. But then that was thousands of years ago. The Pope wears a mitre on his head that represents the god Dorgon. That was the symbol of the god Dorgon. They used to wear a fish on their heads. This is the mitre that the Pope wears today, is the mitre of Dorgon worship. Let's talk about some other stuff that we don't know about since we're talking crazy. You see this thing over here? This thing, we don't know what this thing is. Let me kind of, get out of your way so you can see. Now, we still don't know after thousands of years what is this item here. But that item is mentioned in the Bible. This pictogram is thousands of years old. In the Bible, that is talked about as being a wheel inside of a wheel inside of a wheel. That is that item. We still don't know what that is. Is that some kind of space station? Is that some kind of vehicle? Is that some kind of being? We still don't know what that is, but that's mentioned in the Bible. We don't know what this is. This turned into, later on, they put, in Zoroastrianism, they put the god Zoroaster on top. But this is the first pictorial expression of this, which looks like some kind of spaceship with three kind of beings or something in top. And they have the moon below them. For people who are very primitive, who was hunter-gatherers, and they went from hunter-gatherers to start building ziggurats. And ziggurats are mentioned in the Bible. Land is not, I read the Bible several times. There are no ziggurats in the Bible. Have you ever heard of the Tower of Babel? Okay. It was a ziggurat. It was a spiral building that was super high. How do hunter-gatherers go from hunting and gathering to building giant ziggurats trying to reach the heavens? These people knew a lot of things. When you read their tablets, this is what Sitchin was talking about. When you read their tablets, they talk about the planets. Do you know the Sumerians knew about Neptune and Neptune and Uranus, and they knew that they called them the twin planets? But Len, I thought Uranus wasn't discovered until the 1800s. How did people thousands of years ago know about that? Do you know the Sumerians even knew about the planet Pluto? How could they know that? They knew about Neptune. They knew about everything. And for some strange reason, when we number the planets, we start at the sun and start going out. Because you don't know how far out it is, so you got to start at the middle and go out. The Samaritans didn't count the planets that way. Do you know the Sumerians counted the planets from the outside coming in? Why would you do that? Unless you was from the outside coming in. And that's how you came across the planets as you passed them one at a time. But the Sumerians, like a lot of ancient people, don't take credit for their work. They say the gods told them this, and they worked with the gods. And today, there's a lot of things we still don't understand. A lot of religious people today, they do not believe in extraterrestrials, aliens. They will say there is no extraterrestrials and aliens. Those are demons. There's only angels and demons. You all know about that, right? Angels and demons. You all know that, right? Okay. There's nothing else, right? According to Sumerian myths, according to their tablets, they only worship the gods and the demigods. They did not worship a whole line of other beings, which we don't know what those beings are. And they did not worship the Anunnaki, those who came down. They only worship the gods and the demigods. What does that mean? And in some of their legends, they talk about these other beings and the power these other beings had and what they could do and all this stuff. It seems like they knew of a lot of different types of beings or angels or aliens or whatever you want to call them. Today, we just have angels and demons. That's the same thing as going to Africa and saying everything in Africa is a dog or a cat. There's only dogs or cats in Africa. And every animal you see, you say that's a dog or that's a cat. The truth is, most things in Africa are not dogs and they're not cats. There are thousands of different types of animals in Africa. And this is what the Sumerians talk about, all these different types of beings that they had dealings with, and the different powers that these different beings had and what they could and could not do. But they didn't worship any of them. They only worshiped the gods and the demigods. And what is a demigod? A demigod, a god is, we're not even sure what that means. A spirit being? A being that can live forever? See, to define something, to quantify something, you have to know what things are. We don't even know where to get started. So let's say a god is a divine being, whatever that is, quote unquote. A demigod, according to the Sumerians, is half divine, half human. Well, we never met a God. We don't know if it's, we wouldn't even know if a God is one walked up to us and was interviewed on CNN. We wouldn't know if it was a God or not. We would just say that's an angel or a demon. That's the only two words we have. We don't have no other words. Okay. We are really doing that. Okay. What else did the Sumerians talk about? The Sumerians, see, this is why a lot of things the Sumerian talked about was written down, but they was just written. No one knew what to do with this stuff until Sitchin came along. And then Sitchin started writing about this stuff and started putting 1 + 1 + 1 together. Okay. Today, we don't know if Sitchin was 100% correct, 50% correct, 20% correct. We don't know. Science said Sitchin just made all that stuff up, but they have no explanation for all the things that the Sumerian texts talk about. Okay. And the Sumerian texts talk about a lot of crazy, pardon me, the cats again are going crazy. The Sumerian texts talk about a lot of things that we can't quantify today. A lot of things. Now, one reason why people like the Sumerian myths is because a lot of people believe that the Bible stories are fiction. The Sumerian myths prove that the Bible stories are real. They talk about a lot of things that are mentioned in the Bible. They talk about the Great Flood. They talk about how the sun, how these things came down, and now they made it with, humans. They talk about a lot of things in great detail. The Sumerians talk about the king's list. We know of several king's lists that exist in the world. You have the Sumerian king's list. You have the Egyptian king's list. You have the one that was in China. The Sumerian king's list talk about all these different names, and they reign for 20,000 years, 30,000 years, all these names. And they say the gods ruled. Then they say the demigods ruled. They range for 2,000 years, 500 years, 600 years. You got a long list of them. And then they mention who was the first human king. What does that mean? How can it be the first human king? Who would those people be above that? And then they mention who was the king during the great flood. That's amazing. Now, when they mention the human kings before the flood, they all lived, they ruled for, see, the first one reigned for 20, 30,000 years, 60,000 years. Then the demagogues reigned for 8,000 years, 12,000 years. And then the human kings reigned for 600 years, 400 years, 300 years. And then once you go after the flood, then they range for 80 years, 90 years, 20 years, 60 years. That has to be a legend. You know that. Okay. Nobody could rule for 300 years. No one could rule for thousands of years. No one could rule for tens of thousands of years. Right? I guess. Okay. We don't know. Now, if it was only the Sumerians that was talking crazy, you would just say, well, then they was probably doing hashish or something like that, or maybe they discovered hallucinogenics back in those days. But what the Sumerians talk about, if you go all around the world to Egypt, not to India, some of the same things is talked about in their book. About these gods could fly and their crafts and everything, and what the gods could do, and their weapons and their bolts of lightning and this and that, and how they could destroy an entire city with a bolt of lightning and a flash and all this stuff. It's the same things you get in the Gita. And what some of the new things that we're starting to do now, because the name of these gods, everybody had the god myths. The god myths are mentioned in the Bible when it talk about the giants was what what the giants was upon the earth. And it says in the Bible, these were the men of renown. What do renown mean? Renown means great. This is why that's in the Bible. If you go all the way around the world, every ancient civilization had the god myths. The name of the gods varied from civilization to civilization from civilization. They were just all different stories. But what people are starting to do now is when you go to the description of the gods, and you go to another civilization and look up the description of the gods, and you go to another civilization and look up the description of the god, the description is almost identical, even though the name has changed. And a lot of these beings that they talk about, names still appear today. Like in the Sumerian texts, they talk about, I hope you're sitting down, the Queen of Heaven. They talk about this stuff. They talk about in some of their legend. They talk about something called the what the word? It just slipped off my tongue. The Immaculate Conception. Okay. These titles go back thousands of years. Now, when you say those words today, we all point to one person. How come people thousands of years ago was using the same titles? Even when you talk about God, a lot of the same titles got Lord of Lords, King of Kings, and all this stuff that we use today, you find in Sumerian texts. This is the reason why today there are thousands and thousands of these tablets which have not been deciphered. This is what happened with the ones that Hobby Lobby was sneaking out, trying to sneak out of Iraq. They confiscated them. Scientists wanted to read them before they were sent back to Iraq, and they said no. They had to send them back to Iraq, and they was going to be turned over to the Iraqi government. All of these sacred texts, they won't allow people to read because we must be kept in the dark. Why is that? And it's not only Sumerian texts that no one is allowed to read. Most Egyptian texts have not been deciphered, and they're kept in museums and no one have access to. In the city of Timbuktu, there are, you didn't know this, there's African texts that go back thousands of years. No one is allowed to read those. Okay, in Malta, in one of this, in Timbuktu, no one is allowed to read those texts either. And when you had a branch of Al Qaeda trying to destroy them, the French government went over there, kicked butt, and then they seized them and put them in safekeeping. That means where no one can get to them. Why is that? Why must we be kept from our own past? Even the Aztecs, the conquistadors did a fantastic job of destroying all of their books. The conquistadors, the Aztecs had libraries. Most of their libraries was destroyed. Of the remnants that survived, only a few of them has been deciphered. Most of them are still kept and they have not been deciphered. Why is that? Because they don't want us to know our history. They don't want us to know anything. They don't want us to know where we came from. They don't want us to know our past. They only want us to know what they want us to know. And it's not just Christian governments that doesn't want people to know. Muslim governments don't want people to know. In Israel, when they find things that has to do with the Jews, they publicize it, they study it. But there's been a lot of things discovered in the Holy Land, which has to do with ancient texts that predates the Jews, the Israelites. They will not decipher those. They lock them away. Because if people found out and read things, maybe because we was told, even though it's in the Bible, it says that when Abraham first came to the Holy Land, there was people living there. When they left Egypt, it came to there was already people living there. We was told today that that's their land, and all these other people. It was an empty land. Maybe that's not true. Even about the American Indians, they have discovered things they don't want us to know. Because we always told that the land, basically the West, you just had some savage Indians running around. Okay. We are a people today that know nothing about our past. We only told what we are told to go along with our religious beliefs. So if you're Christian, you're only told about things that go along with Christian history and Christian belief. If you're Muslim, you only get told about things that go along with Muslim belief. If you're Hindu, whatever, everything else is blotted out. This is why, after thousands of years, we know nothing. But what would happen if we found out about our history? What would happen if we found out about our past? Would we climb up to the top of the Empire State Building and jump off? If we discovered in the past that, there was more than they taught us, would we all drink the Kool-Aid? No. But maybe they feel like they would be able to control us and dominate us the way they do. I have said 100 times, the earth is nothing but a cattle ranch. They need to control the herd. That is what countries is all about. Each country is nothing but a ranch. And we're the cattle in the ranch that called the United States of America. And they need to control us. They don't want to teach us anything. They don't want us to know anything. They just want to entertain us. We got the soccer game on right now, this and that. We got sports. We got this. We got everything. We got, Netflix. We got everything. They just want to keep us entertained. Where we buy the things they want us to buy. We do the things they want us to do. And then people talk about how Big Brother's going to take over and we ain't going to have no freedom. And we are a people who don't know ourselves. But there's hope. The Bible says that in the end, all things will be revealed. And that is what's going on right now. All over the world, scientists are finding things. They're coming across things, this and that. And now, with the speed of the internet, it get published. But you got to read quick because they publish something and 2 weeks later, that's gone. Okay. It hit and it's gone real quick. Okay. Because they don't like what you post. This video may not be around too long. Okay. It's crazy. Okay. Why is that? because man was never alone. We have never been on this planet by ourselves. We have always been accompanied. We have always had the visitors, have always been here. And the visitors have shaped society, have shaped things. Okay. And this is what the Bible talk about. We believe that we're in control. A lot of things that happens in the world we are not in control of. They are in control. The only difference between today versus yesterday is that now they play the game of hiding behind the curtain to give us the false illusion that we're in control. But what we need to do, and I don't know how to fix this problem, but we need a way of finding out why is the government hiding all of this stuff. It's not the American government, but collectively. We have these museums all over the world, and when you find anything, when you find giant bones or artifacts or things that are out of place or things was written in the paper that they found things, strange artifacts in the Grand Canyon that they even found a Chinese sword in Georgia last week that's several hundred years old. Now, how do a Chinese sword, hundreds of years old, how was that found in China? I mean, in Georgia. That article is not going to last long because we remember we is written in every book who came here. Columbus. Anything that goes against that will be stricken. But for us to move forward, we have to know our past because the past is the future. The future is the past. And if we want to know the future of mankind, we have to see our past. And our past will show us very quickly that man is not in control. And these beings was here then, and they have always been here. And they're here now. It's just at certain times in history, they show themselves, they reveal themselves. We need to wake up and smell the coffee. Let me see if there's anybody who agrees or disagrees or got anything they need to hide. Yes. Okay. Somebody mentioned a great point. Now, I said we was going to talk about that later, about what was going on in Iraq. Remember, we went to Iraq, quote unquote, to get Saddam because Saddam was trying to build weapons of mass destruction. Now, Saddam, in the years leading up to the invasion by us, because of his having weapons of mass destruction, Saddam was trying, according to him, Saddam was trying to rebuild the city of Babylon. He was spending giant money trying to fix up the city of Babylon. And according to him, he found something in the desert. And he said, with that, what he found in the desert, Iraq was going to become the most powerful city in the world. Okay. He didn't live long after that. And while we were supposedly over there knocking out his airfields and things like that and whatever, somebody who we still don't know was raiding all of the museums in Iraq. Somebody was out in the desert digging and doing things. What did that have to do? And we still don't know. Tens of thousands of things was taken from the museums in Iraq. In that city they was trying to rebuild in the desert, somebody went over there and did major digging. What was taken out? We do not know. What was Saddam talking about? And Saddam was bragging about, this is crazy, that Iraq was going to build the first interstellar airport in the world, and that he was going to welcome the gods back to Iraq, and they was building an airport to welcome the gods back. What was that about? Now, Lynn, okay, this is the thing that was going on right before we invaded. What was they doing? Did Saddam had a Stargate? What did he have over there in the desert? What did he find? Did he find an ancient flying machine? We do not know. But whatever it is, we went over there in the first days of the Iraq War. We raided all the museums in Iraq. We was in the desert. We was doing major work, major excavation, and thousands of items came up missing. And then somebody's mentioning that right now in Syria, in the country of Syria. Supposedly they was fighting a civil war. ISIS was going over and attacking these ancient sites, going through them. Now, if you're trying to overthrow the government of Syria because they're not a true Islamic government and you want to install an Islamic state, why would you send divisions of men to ancient cities and they're blowing up stuff and digging? That doesn't make any sense. And then we had to send people over there to kick ISIS out. And then we was over there digging in those old cities. What do this have to do with trying to bring freedom and democracy to the people of Syria? See, there's a lot of things we don't know and we will never know. Okay. Maybe they knew something was out there. Maybe they was looking for it. You get what I'm saying? Because attacking that cities in Syria, that's 3,000 years old, 5,000-year-old cities where nobody's living in them, how is that going to help you to win the war? And then we had to send in special forces to kick them out of those historical sites. Something really smells very bad. We are so much in the dark of what is going on. We know nothing. And there's a picture that was published around 50 years ago of something that was found in Iraq that looks almost like a Stargate. It looks almost exactly like the Stargate that is on the show, that is on the TV. We have no idea. We could talk about strange stories in Afghanistan. People, how we came across these tunnels in Afghanistan. And we was exploring in these deep underground tunnels. supposedly because Al Qaeda was hiding in the tunnels, and that's why we was in there, and we discovered some artifacts. I don't think we went in there worrying about Al Qaeda. Maybe Al Qaeda was looking for these things like we were. Okay, but this is not this. This just didn't start with them. This is the same thing Hitler was doing in World War II. This was the Hitler was supposedly trying to fight the French and the English and the German. I mean the French and the Americans and England, and Germany had troops in Tibet. And do you know in Hitler's bunker there was Buddhist monks in Hitler's bunker? What was that all about? And if Hitler's trying to defeat the British, why would Hitler annex large portions of the South Pole to Germany? There is so much we do not know. But we need, the truth is going to be revealed. I'm just letting you know we've been lied to. We've been bamboozled. And all these people, we was talking about the movie 2012 the other day. And in the movie 2012, they was building their little ships. And anyone who found out what they was doing, how they was switching out the artwork and doing this and that, anybody who found out, they killed. What are they doing? Now, some of them might say, well, then they're doing this because it's better if we don't know. And some of this stuff is better because man is not prepared and it's best for the government to do this on their own. And they shouldn't tell us what they're doing because we're not ready. That's right. Because we still believe in the Easter Bunny. And we still believe in Santa Claus. Okay. And if we found out about this stuff, our faith in the Easter Bunny might go down. Okay. We may not want to, we may quit thinking about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer if we found out about this stuff. It's better if we don't know. You might want to keep your head buried in the sand. You might say, I enjoy being ignorant. I don't want to know. La, 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 la. Okay. But something is going on really big behind us. And we need to wake up to the fact that this is a global conspiracy to keep our past from us. And they are trying to do this for some unknown reason. And how come with all those tablets that Hobby Lobby was trying to sneak in the country, that the government confiscated, how come they wouldn't let science look at them before they was returned to Iraq? And they asked the government of Iraq, could they see them? And the government of Iraq said no, they had to be put in a museum for safekeeping. Okay. What was that all about? Oh, and let's talk about that president of Hobby Lobby. According to some people, if you look him up, he has artifacts from all over the world. He's one of these biblical scholars, and he has stuff from all over the world that he has gotten. I don't, maybe he didn't pay for a lot of that, so maybe he's sneaking things in from all over the world, not only from Iraq. Okay. And what is that about? I thought he was into making crafts. See, a lot of people are doing weird things. The Catholic Church, they got they have more observatories around the world than most countries have. Why is the Catholic Church spending millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, building observatories? And I thought they was broke, remember? All their lawsuits. They didn't have no money. Something really smells bad. But I believe the truth will come out. So they can play their little games. If you know something, you can say, like I said the other day, I can't speak because I'm going to lose my pension and this and that and and all this stuff. Okay, so sell the human race down the drain over your little damn pension. Is it worth it? We need the truth and we need it now. We need to know what is going on. There is some very bad stuff coming in our future. The government knows about it. A lot of people knows about it, but we don't know. Okay. They don't want us to know anything. Okay. So we need to find out. And unfortunately, I will do my part to keep you informed, but I do not have all the answers. But if you think I make talking crazy, you start looking into this yourself, and you will see how deep this goes. Because I believe these creatures are already back. They are already working with our governments. They are already making plans for our future. The problem is we do not have a seat at the table because we might be on the table. Okay. We might be the main course on the table. That's very bad. But we have to safeguard our future. We have to make sure that, you know, we're in this new normal with all these diseases, this and that, and all this craziness going on. But our children is going to inherit this crazy world. They're going to have to live here. Okay. I don't have that much time left, you know. But I don't want my generation to be the last generation. I still hoping that the future will be better instead of worse. I don't like these movies where they show these Armageddon futures. Or they live in where a few rich people living in a space station above the earth, like all the rich people are trying to leave. And we're going to talk about that next week. Okay. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. We all need to do our part. Yes, we still have to worry about putting food on the table, this and that, and everything else, but we do not want to be led like sheep to the slaughter. Okay. It's our world. We live here. Okay. And we have the right to. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope this stimulates you not just to believe what I'm telling you or whatever, to start doing your research. Start opening your eyes. Say, I don't know if that guy talking crazy or not. I'm going to start looking some things up. And boy, you won't get a good night's sleep. Okay. I wish everyone, the best. Remember, there's a lot going on and the future. And the only thing my friends keep telling me is the world as we know it is coming to an end. Okay. I'm Lynn David Livesey, your full spectrum Gnostic. I'm here several days a week. And I'm back on Tuesday. On Wednesday, on the Spirit Realm. I'm on my own Facebook page. Join my Facebook page. Google my name. I'm on YouTube. I'm everywhere. I look forward to seeing everyone at my next show. And remember, if there's anything I can do for you, if you need to contact me, you know how to do it. With that, I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.